Hello friends, welcome to my channel SushantChessWise. Today we are going to discuss how one should go about opening preparation and what one should do after studying the opening lines. So this is the continuation of our series based on Caro Kahn exchange for white, where we learned how white can create kingside attack. Today we are discussing an entirely different variation regarding which some viewers had queries, and we are going to discuss a game, and later I will tell you what we can do to cover most lines which suppose we have missed in our opening preparation when we checked for or looked for variations. So let's get to this game quickly. It's a game between Dibendu Barua and Kurtz. The game goes e4, c6, d4, d5. Previously also we checked two of Barua's games where we saw how white used the exchange variation to develop a kingside attack. This is a slightly different line by black: bd, cd, bd3 and c6, nf3, bg4, c3. All this I have covered in game 1 and game 2 in detail, all the explanation. In this game we see black goes e6 and he is refraining from the move nf6. That is our main discussion. This query many people have. If black doesn't do nf6, b7, he can go with the plan of qc7, bd6 first, and then what should we do? Because it looks like white cannot play the move bg5 so easily. For instance, immediate bg5 is blunder. See, there comes bf3. If bd8, then see bd1, rook kd1, rook d8, and white lost an extra piece, bishop, knight and queen, and black lost only bishop and queen. And whereas if you see here, if queen f3, then again queen g5, white lost two pieces and black lost only one. So castle, qc7, and in this game white played h3 first. We can do re1, bd6, h3 as well. So bh5, re1, bd6. With no knight on f6, you can see bg5 looks very strange. In fact, black can consider playing h6, g5, g4 in some cases. So white just plays c, knight d2. This knight is c, heading to f1 unless black castles long. Long castle is very risky. In that case, we can have this b4 and b3, b5, this plan. bg6 black plays and nf1. One of the most important plans by white. Now he wants to trade this bishop for black's good bishop by going bishop to c, g5, then transfer it via h4 to g3, and the trade takes place. Now here is an important moment where people ask me, most students ask, why black is not going nf6? Black played ng7 in the game. See, after nf6, two things can happen. One, white can go bg6 instantly. After hg comes bg5, and that same plan can be pursued, bishop going to h4 and then g3. Otherwise, slightly better option is just go bg5 straight away this way, and then after ne4, bh4, let him castle first, then take on e4 followed by bishop g3. Here too you will see the trade of bishops are almost inevitable, and after bg3 and g3, it's very dangerous to play bishop g6 because of h4, and see h6, h5 gives lot of space to white, and this position is not at all good. Very similar to the game actually, we can say. Knight will soon jump to e5 and queen will go to g4, and then this rook can be transferred. White is clearly better. So perhaps bf3, queen f3. Here two similar ideas. This queen can move to g4, knight h5, and the rooks can be transferred this way to the king side gradually. Sometimes there is the plan f4, f5 as well. That also can give some advantage. That is, after qg4, instantly hit with f4, f5. You will note that in most variations, white has a very slight edge. He is not even having a clearly better position, but white's play is very easy. White can play on both sides of the board and really put pressure on black. This is what opening preparation is all about. Get a good position, a position from where we know a good and a stable plan. Black goes ne7 in the game, and after ne7 to bg5, the plan is same. The bishop is, of course, as I said, coming from h4 to g3. So castle b4 first, white has started gaining space on the queen side. So rook f8, if c e5. So this is the second idea. Whenever black will play e5, you will note that d5 will become isolated. Here this e5 is a sign of early aggression. You can see the tactic b7, queen e7, bg6, hg, d, knight e, knight e, b. And in fact, there is qd5 plus also the move f4, getting a winning position. You can see d5 is totally weak. So rook f8 trying to put pressure on c3, a4, bishop d3, q d3. Idea is to take the knight to g6. This knight wants a better place on e7. White goes nd2. Now the plan on the queen side is apparent. White wants nb3 followed by nc5. Black played b6 in the game. If h6, then just the bishop retires back, and if he nf4, then just bishop takes f4. Play will be similar to the game. So b6, rook c1, q d7, knight b3. Plan is very clear. White wants a5. After ba, b5, and knight takes a5. Knight moves away, a5. Here too, if b takes a5, then knight will settle on a5. And there are a couple of plans. One is to take this queen to a6, play b5, knight c6, or h4, h5, like in the game. Rook c7, bd2, the bishop moves away, making space for the knight to go to g5. And as I said, the plan is h4 and h5. B takes a5, knight a5, knight c8. See, knight is trying to come to b6 and c4. But as of now, the na5 knight is guarding well. h4. Knight moves, bishop takes, g3, bd6. Position in the game very similar. One is the kg2 plan, idea ng5, or else we can go see straight away ng5, inducing the move g6 and then hit with h5. This is also very dangerous. The point of kg2 was to prepare the move rook h1, which one would think is somewhat better. See, white has play on both sides of the board, queen side and king side. He can choose. The plan C, b5 and knight a6 is also quite annoying for black. So b5, h4, a6, h5. Black was counting on nf4 perhaps, but white is happy to surrender the bishop. Takes, and rook c2. The rook was attacked. The main point is it looks like this bishop timely returns to d6 before the knight jumps to c5. Typical C master play here. One idea is stopped by tactics in some other variation. Like for instance, see, black had to play h6. If he goes bd6, see, knight c5 is met by bishop c5, then ng5. Very strong move. And intermezzo forcing knight f5 to protect entry on this h7. Then d takes c5, vacating this d4 square. And see the very interesting line. h6, g4, typical positional play, which is proven by tactical idea. See, hg, gf, ef, rook d2, rook d8, rook e5. This is how masters exploit idea of one line by proving tactically in some other variation, in some other way. So in the game, black preferred to play the move h6, which was necessity over here. Now comes nc5. The knight jumps to c5, queen e8, now ne5. Actually, we are very happy to allow be5, de5, or even rook takes e5. But black thought, let's trade the knights and keep the bishop so that he can at some point use bd6, bc5 idea. So knight c6, rook c6, rook e2. We are putting pressure on e6, not allowing any f6, e5 ideas for black. So whenever f6 comes, see, e6 is weak. So queen e7, queen f3, q g5, g3. This was on the cards anyways. Bishop goes back. If bishop goes to d6 and trades the knight, bishop into knight, then see kg2, bc5, and here also dc. Superb idea. White is going to play rook e5, g4, g5. I will show you some lines here. After rook f8, rook e5, q d8, g4, rook c7. Black is trying to protect the 7th rank. but after g5, hg, q, g3, things are very, very difficult. Black can't play f6, there is rook g5 coming by force. Black can give the pawn by g4, qf6. See, trying to put pressure here, but still rook g5. Many people prefer qg5, which is also clearly better rook endgame, but see this line. Rook g5, qc3, rook e3, qb2 or a1 and h6. Literally, we can say that white is playing with an extra rook. Black timely manages f5, but still see queen f4 hits the rook on c7, and after rook f7, rook eg3. And see, g7 is shattered here. After queen f6, hg, rook cannot take because see, the g7 rook is pinned and black loses the rook. It means now it's devastating. The rook is either transferring, or even there is the possibility, see, queen h4, which can keep this discovered attack. So rook g7 can be met by rook g7. This is what we should do when we look at master games from our openings. Try to grasp the ideas beyond the opening lines. Black went bc7, kg2, rook d8, kh3. Black waits with bb8. Now see qg4. After the trade of queens, white wants to expand with f4, g4, f5 perhaps. Let's see qg4, kg4, and the very important move, see, after rook e8, f4 would be a mistake here. After f4, there comes f5 check, king moves, and kf7 allowed black to get some defense. But kh3 first. Now see, f5 will not be possible at all. After f5, you can see the e6 pawn hangs. bd6, and now see f4. Once again, the point that if bishop takes on c5, then dc, this idea works time and again. Trying to play f5, which is slow here. After g4, fg, kg4, kf7, f5, ef. This is very nice positional sack. kf4, rook e2, rook e2. One may say all these lines are not totally forced, but look at this play here. If we lose f5 and d5 both, then black will be of course losing. And if he defends one of them, see g5, good move, trying to make this a passed pawn, but after c pawn takes, rook king takes, because f5 is hanging, so r e5. Now see, f5, d5 both are weak, so rook f6, rook d5, h5, and the deadly tactical move, rook d6 settles the game. It looked like black had two passers here, but see, after rd6, cd, kf6, there comes c4, the winning move. After ke6, of course, you must have noted cb, ab, a6 settles the game. And after bc also, b5, bc, d7, even a6 is good, ke7, a6, c3, and c d8 check first. After k d8, a7, c2, 8, queen check, and white wins. Of course, these are some sample lines. Everything is not forced, but just trying to show you how the rook endgame would have panned out very well. There is of course scope for many if and but in that line, but what all I am trying to show you is how this DC idea is turning out very well. So king f8 was played in the game and f5. Whole point is this. So e5, and now see black loses the pawn, and d7 check, king moves, de, rook e7 almost forced. It's a last try, ed, rook d7, and the rook penetrates. Rook e8, kh7, rook 8. The whole point is the mating net on the 8th rank. After rook d6, rook e8, only move g6 or g5. And this combination, if you have seen my lesson before on positional play, we had the game Alekhine versus Yates, and in that see f6. In that game also, Alekhine decoyed the rook on f6, and there he played ke5 at the end. This is a very similar tactical idea. Black resigned here, reason being after rook f6, rook check, kg7, rook g8 mates on the spot. And otherwise to any other move, directly you can see rook h8 is checkmate. So basically what one should do is, when we find a game or two by a particular player on ChessBase like softwares, what we can do is we can set further filters. We can set a starting opening position, not go very deep, just 3, 4, 5 moves there, and In the filter, we put the name of the player whose games we have found and then make a search. Then what happens? Whatever lines that player has played, we get all of them. So we will be able to get whole lot more stuff than what we are trying to search, right? From the starting point, we will be able to get many more extra games. This has been my experience. For instance, when I used to play the English attack, and if I searched and I saw that there are many games by Michael Adams, so what you do, you go to a starting position of the line, maybe 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th move, and then search with the name of Michael Adams. You get maybe 10, 15 extra games over there. And many lines which otherwise I would have missed, I get to study them as well. So this is how we can make our opening preparation in a more advanced manner, and against more spectrum of opponents it will get us covered and we will know more stuff. And of course, when we study those games, if they are annotated, then it is even more fun understanding the underlying ideas. See, mainly the main lines of calculation doesn't happen in the game. The beauty is found in the analysis, in the variation. So definitely let me know how you found this lesson in the comments below. Thanks for your time.